I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. Here is yet another example about how just disingenuous the MAGA Republicans are and how, frankly, not only do they not want to govern, but I think the evidence will show that they affirmatively want to actually harm our country. And look, I want to talk briefly about the debt ceiling because while the purpose of the debt ceiling and raising it actually has nothing to do with current proposed budgets, raising the debt ceiling is about paying the bills that Congress and prior administrations racked up. In fact, 97% of the debt that was inherited by the Biden administration came from previous administration. So you've got to pay your bills going forward. And so Kevin McCarthy and the MAGA Republicans, though, wanted to tie raising the debt ceiling so America wouldn't default on its full faith and credit, so America wouldn't default on its debt. And they wanted to tie that to spending cuts in forward-looking budgets presented by the Biden administration. So the Biden administration had a very simple response, a very simple solution, which is we'll show you our budget, which will reduce the deficit by trillions of dollars. By the way, Donald Trump raised the deficit by about $7 trillion. So far, the Biden administration has actually demonstrated fiscal responsibility by reducing the deficit. But Biden said, here is my budget. Now show me what you want to cut. Show me your proposed budget, and then we can try to figure this out together. And what do the MAGA Republicans want to do? Nothing other than to try to engage in their performative nonsense and just call out the Dems and call out the liberals and just say Biden isn't doing enough. But they haven't presented their own budget after they were the ones who said that there needs to be budget cuts for them to raise the debt ceiling. Here, let me just show you, just so you can see. This is Kevin McCarthy from February 2nd, and he says in this video clip, we will not pass a clean debt ceiling here without some form of spending reform. Here, play the clip.
When the White House said that the president's open to talking about the debt ceiling in a separate discussion about ways to control spending. I mean, what do you think about when you hear that they kind of want to separate those two, is what they say?
Whichever way they want to talk about it, I'm very clear. We will not pass a clean debt ceiling here without some form of spending reform. So there'll never be a clean one. I don't know how they want to say it, that's fine. But at the end of the day, we're going to get spending reforms. I believe you have to lift the debt ceiling. But you do not lift the debt ceiling without changing your behavior. So it's got to be both in place. Yes, sir.
Some of your own members.
Okay, Kevin McCarthy, then propose your own budget. Like that's what you would do if you are a good faith actor. But now Kevin McCarthy went on some morning business shows and he basically said, it's Biden's fault. Biden's not doing anything. But then when the host of the show said, well, what are you doing? Critics say you haven't put a budget out. Shouldn't you do that? And look what Kevin McCarthy says. Play the clip.
The president did put that budget out, and I will grant you that we even had some Democrats on the show that said, okay, it's a starting point, and it's obviously it's clear that this will not be the final budget that could ever pass. But the critics say that you haven't put anything out. This is contained in the response from the White House press secretary. If the Republicans want to have a conversation about our nation's economic and fiscal future, it's time for them to put out a budget, as the president has done with his detailed plan to grow the economy, lower cost, and reduce the deficit by nearly $3 trillion. So do you have something to present at this point, a budget, blueprint?
Look, let's be very honest about that. The budget doesn't have anything to do with the debt ceiling. I can pass a budget tomorrow, and we'll still need to pass a debt ceiling. A budget looks at tenure. These are apples and oranges. I sat down with the president in February before he produced his budget. They were more than a month delay, so it delays us in producing our budget. But that does nothing. I have $4 trillion in savings that I personally told the president while we sat only because it was St. Patrick's Day.
on ways that we can find savings and come to the table.
So you see there, Kevin McCarthy gave away the game. He says here the budget doesn't have anything to do with the debt ceiling. By the way, that is a true statement, yet the whole proposition that MAGA Republicans are arguing is that it does. They are arguing it is inextricably intertwined and that they intend to hold our nation economically hostage, to try to cripple our economy if there are no spending cuts in our budget, and the types of cuts that they would want to do, even though they deny it every time they're called out on it. There's no other way to get to the cuts that they're talking about, but they want to cut Social Security, they want to cut Medicare, they want to cut critical social programs, they want to cut military spending, they want to turn Ukraine over to Vladimir Putin, and they want to engage in conduct like that. So just own what it is that you are proposing. Own what it is that you're saying. Here in the same interview, Kevin McCarthy's basically like, we've made no progress since I met with Biden back on the first week of February at the White House. Play the clip.
Given what you're saying and given the response from the White House press secretary, it doesn't seem like we've made any progress since that meeting you had 2 months ago with President Biden.
We've made no progress. And Joe, you know me, I'm always an optimist. I'm not now. They asked to pass just to raise the debt ceiling. Well, they control the Senate. They can't pass it in the Senate. Even Democrats in the House tell me they would not vote for that. So that's off the table. The president and I met more than 2 months ago. Since that time, he has misled the whole Congress and the country. When we were together at the prayer breakfast, he says we're going to sit down the next day, told the entire Congress that we're going to meet. At the Democratic retreat, he told the Democrats that we were planning meetings. He's never had one meeting. It's been more than 2 months. Time is ticking. Now I'm very concerned about where we are. Look.
And you see what Kevin McCarthy says over and over and over again there. Kevin McCarthy says, I want to meet. We need meetings. We need meetings. Why? You want a meeting so you could go and do performative press conferences? The way this works, the way this actually should go down is you have a meeting. Biden, after the meeting, proposed his budget. Then you propose your budget. And then you can meet productively to have conversations regarding how to figure all of this out. And you shouldn't hold our country hostage in the process and destroy our economy based on the debt that Donald Trump and you, Kevin McCarthy, ran up when the Republicans controlled Congress and had their tax cuts for the billionaires, which increased our deficit to the tune of trillions of dollars. Here, the Democrats put out this video clip over 2 years ago when they saw that this was what Kevin McCarthy's plan was regarding the debt ceiling. So I want to show you this clip that they put a side-by-side of Kevin McCarthy in 2017 during the Trump administration and then Kevin McCarthy in 2021. I mean, it is flip-flop city over here because the MAGA Republicans stand for nothing and they continually raise the debt limit and the debt ceiling under the Trump administration. Here, play this clip.
When you raise the debt ceiling, that's actually paying for stuff that has already been spent.
Democrats have floated changing the debt ceiling process so there's not...
We would just spend more and more. Why they want to raise this is to spend more money.
When you raise the debt ceiling, that's actually paying for stuff that has already been spent.
So going back to that meeting in early February, when Kevin McCarthy met with Biden, he was asked, okay, McCarthy, what is it that you want to cut? And McCarthy goes, I'm not going to negotiate in public. Here, play this clip.
Where should those budget cuts come from right now? Medicare and Social Security, the White House insists Republicans want to cut. What cuts do you want?
Well, let me be clear about that. And I've been clear many times. No, we're not talking about that. And to really be able to do this right, I'm not going to negotiate this in the press, right? I respect the conversation we had together, and we will continue that.
And then here, Kevin McCarthy says, I think I can find some common ground with Biden.
Look, I know you all have a job to do, but I don't think we'll come to an agreement if I negotiate with you. I think the respectful way to do it is to talk to the president as we did right now for more than an hour. We both walked away We have different perspectives, but we both laid out some of our vision of where we'd want to get to. And I believe after laying both of out, I can see where we can find common ground. I think the American public would appreciate that. And I've been very clear. The current path we're on, we cannot sustain. We got to change the trajectory to put ourselves on a path to balance. How we get there will be our discussions.
But you see, when Kevin McCarthy said that, he was crushed by the other MAGA Republicans for saying, oh, that I'm going to work productively with Biden. So now he just doesn't do anything and then just says, what is Biden doing? Biden is not helping out. It's the leftists. It's the liberals. It's the Mr. Potato Heads. It's the Dr. Seuss. It's the pronouns faults. It's the M&M's fault. You know, all of the outrage machine stuff that they talk about every day. No, the way this works is, you know, when you talk about an infrastructure plan, for example, you actually have to introduce the plan. When you talk about a healthcare plan and you claim it's going to be better than Obamacare, you have to do the work. You got to put the plan forward. When you say that you want spending cuts, you got to outline them. You got to put forward your own budget. You at the bare minimum need to do that rather than just whine and whine and whine over and over again without being productive at all. But let's be real. These MAGA Republicans don't want to solve problems. I mean, just look what Representative Tim Burchett from Tennessee said on school shootings after a school shooting in Nashville. He goes, yeah, we're not going to fix that. We don't have, we're just got to accept it. Here, play this clip.
Do you think there's any role for Congress to play in reaction to this tragedy? Obviously, this is your state now, but It's happened in every other state.
Oh, it's happening. It doesn't matter what state it's happening in. We're all Americans. It doesn't matter the color of their skin. They all believe red. They're believing a lot. I don't see any real role that we could do other than mess things up, honestly, because of the situation. It's like I said, I don't think a criminal's going to stop from guns. You know, you can print them out on the computer now, 3D printing, and there's really, I don't think you're going to stop the gun violence. I think you've got to change people's hearts. You know, as a Christian, as we talk about in the church, and I've said this many times, I think we really need revival in this country.
Or how about the other, that was MAGA Republican Tim Burchett. How about MAGA Republican Steve Scalise?
Yeah, the first thing in any kind of tragedy I do is, as I pray for the victims, pray for their families. I really get angry when I see people trying to politicize it for their own personal agenda, especially when we don't even know the facts. There are facts coming out. It looks like the shooter originally went to another school that had much stronger security, and ultimately went to this school. Let's get the facts and let's work to see if there's something that we can do to help secure schools. We've talked about things that we can do, and it just seems like on the other side, all they want to do is take guns away from law-abiding citizens before they even know the facts. The first thing they talk about is taking guns away from law-abiding citizens, and that's not the answer, by the way. So why don't we, number one, keep those families in our prayers and see if there were things that were missed along the way. We've talked about the need to improve mental health in this country, and that's been a driver of a lot of these shootings as well. In the back, all the way in the.
Well, you know, what we need to do is we need thoughts and prayers is the first and foremost. By the way, you want to do thoughts and prayers? Do thoughts and prayers. That should happen right away. Thoughts and prayers. Okay, then now take action. You could do both. I think you need action first, but if you want to do thoughts and prayers, you can then still do the hard work and actually change what's going on and make a difference. But that's not who these MAGA Republicans are. These MAGA Republicans are arsonists because they stand for nothing, and they've run on the fact that they claim government is the problem. When they get into power, they want to prove it by destroying the government. And that's really wrong, people. And that's why what I'd like you to do is share this video with anybody you know so you can see for yourself. You can see it for yourself. How is what Kevin McCarthy is doing here productive in any way? It's no solutions. It's performative nonsense and just showing up and whining and then not offering a solution. What are you going to cut? Where's your budget? What does that look like? You just want to whine about Biden's? What kind of negotiation is that? I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Now hit subscribe We're on our way to 1 million subscribers. I keep forgetting. We already hit 1 million subscribers. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers. I got to work on that. 1.5 million subscribers. Stays in the video. So please hit subscribe. I'm glad we passed 1 million. Also, if you have Instagram, search for the MeidasTouch Instagram account. Subscribe there. Our Instagram account has a lot of great breaking news. And also check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Okay, now subscribe right here on our YouTube for free. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas. Thank you for watching.
The best part of waking up? MAGA Tears in my cup. Check out the new MAGA Tears mug available now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com. It's 100% union made right here in the USA. I know I'm not tired of winning yet. How about you? Get yours today.